here with Coach Shrewsberry. So, Coach, how does it feel to finally have a nice week where you can kind of relax and get your mind ready for next game Saturday against Minnesota?
You know what? It came at a good time for us. Like we've been going pretty nonstop, and you could kind of feel it a little bit that our guys were getting tired, and a big part of that was a lot of close games, a lot of down to the wire type games, and it's not always necessarily physically tired, which I'm sure they were, but mentally as well, to be able to like really have to focus, all the way through those games. And then, as soon as you get through that one, you got to turn right around and start preparing for the next game against, another really good opponent. So this break came at the right time. They're kind of the midway point for us, 10 games through Big Ten. So it's good timing to have it.
Definitely. So, Coach, you coached under Brad Stevens in Boston for the Celtics. So, how is coaching college at a Big Ten different than the NBA?
Um, I would say the differences are, really like the skill level of the players. Like the players are so good at that level, that you're working more through nuances of how to attack different defenses in different ways, or how to guard personnel in different ways defensively, where college is more team and system oriented, um, as opposed to the NBA is more individual oriented, not in terms of you don't use your team or you don't use those advantages, but how you prepare. Like you have to prepare for the individual, as well as the team. And you get some of that in college, but it's to a higher extent. But it is fun. Like we're at the highest level. We I'm coaching in the best league in the country, in the Big Ten, and every single night, like we have to prepare for guys individually. And, you have a Marcus Carr coming up on Saturday, who's a handful. He's going to be the focus of our defense, our defensive system.
Leading into my next question is with the Big Ten, we've seen teams play a really good game one day and then the next day they're off. So, like, for example, Iowa has been strong all year long, but we kind of saw them struggle against IU. So, do you look at, say, we were preparing for Iowa next week, do we look at both games and kind of compare if they're on versus if they're not, or do we just stare at the best and go from there?
Yeah, and that's what we try and do is really, you know, their best is what they're capable of doing. And that's how you have to prepare for them, because you don't know, like from one night to the next, how somebody's going to perform individually or collectively as a team. So you have to prepare to beat them at their best. And, whether it's a guy that's sitting out or whether it's, a team that's played, you know, one game and then they got a day off and have to play again, like every circumstance is different and every entity is different. So, how they perform one night, they're the one thing that we try and say is, we can't control the other team's locker room. So, we don't know what's going on over there, and they don't know what's going on in ours. So we have to prepare for the best version of that team. And whether you get it or not, that's it's kind of up to them.
Gotcha. Um, so with Sasha out with the COVID-19 protocol, how has that kind of changed practices, or um, are we throwing Jaden Ivey into that role, or how has that changed kind of the preparation for these next two games without him?
Like, having this break has been good, for us. And you can't really kind of throw somebody into Sasha's role and expect the same results. So it's given us an opportunity to continue to, work and expand on different things, adding different, elements of our game that we may use now that we haven't in the past, whether it's a Jaden or Sasha or Brandon or whoever. But it's given us, this break has actually given us a time to really refocus on ourselves. you play so many games and you get so locked in on how you have to go up against the other team that you don't get a chance to work on yourself, um, within those practices. And, each practice you're getting better, you know, as a team collectively, but you don't have 100% focus on it. And that's what we've been able to do here, especially early this week is, we've been able to really focus on getting better at aspects that we haven't been as good at, or things that may have slipped just because you're doing so much game preparation that, you lose a little bit here and there. So I think that's been more key than how we kind of replace Sasha during this time.
So with our games this year, have you seen a trend in a specific like statistic, like turnovers? If we keep those below this, we're more likely to win a game. Have you seen one thing that is outstanding that we need to work on?
I don't know if there's necessarily one thing. Like turnovers has been a big issue for us that, we need to continue to be better at. You know, the main thing for us is, it all ties together. So the better we are offensively, usually the better we are defensively. So it may not be a statistic that sticks out, but are we executing on offense? So whether or not we're scoring or not, are we, making the other team work? Are we getting good shots? Are we getting shots that our guys are prepared for those guys to shoot, which helps us in turn to set our defense. So now, like, they know within a possession, like somebody's going to take a shot at this moment. Now we're getting our safeties back, or we're getting our jammer in the keyhole. Our guys are going to rebound, and that helps our defense. Now our defense is set, and it's harder for people to score against us in transition. So, it all ties together. I don't think there's one thing, one or the next. We always talk about trying to win the possession battle, having more possessions than the other team, and that accounts our offensive rebounding and our turnovers. How we're getting more possessions that way. So that's a stat we try and lean on each game going into it.
Gotcha. So coming into this season, we knew we had this young freshman core of guys, but we also had our like Trevion and Sasha, the veterans, coming back. Has there been one guy or even a couple that have kind of exceeded that expectation of looking into the year?
It's hard to say. Like, the juniors, they've had a chance to be here, and their roles have kind of changed each year, and they're kind of still stepping into those and growing within those roles. And, the freshmen, it's all new. Even with Mason and Brandon, they were here last year, but everything's still kind of new for them, like, in terms of playing and now preparing for the next game, preparing their bodies and everything else. So, we've been pleasantly surprised by all of our newcomers. I think, like the statistic of us having 4 guys being freshmen of the week, that's kind of a testament to them and the talent that they have, but also the drive to push each other to be better. And also from our older guys, pushing them to be better and allowing them to be better when it's their opportunity. Because it gives us more depth as a team. It makes us a little harder to prepare for. I've kind of been surprised by all of them. It's been a difficult season. It's been a difficult preseason, kind of leading up to everything. So, every opportunity we get to play and step out there is a bonus. And, I think, without the normal off season, what we get from everybody has been a pleasant surprise.
Okay, so I know a lot of fans are comparing our young core of guys to the 2009-2010 Baby Boilers. Do you see any similarity in those two teams?
I think the maybe in the maturity of the younger guys, like they had you think about the Rob Hummel and Etwan Moore and Juwan Johnson, and they came in ready as freshmen, like which is you don't always get that from all of your freshmen, and I think our guys have done that and prepared that. Um, their preparation has been good in how they've approached wanting to get better and wanting to be good, but also they're pushing each other to be good. And I think if you go back to that group, that's the thing that if you talk to Rob and talk to each one, Jawan, those guys pushed each other to be better, and in turn, they pushed the older guys to be better. And those are the similarities that I see right away. I know Rob and each one both talked to our group this summer or this spring when we were in quarantine, and they talked about stepping up as young players, but also pushing each other to be better and being great and doing it and celebrating together. So that's what we're trying to shoot for. So we want the accomplishments that group was able to have.
And then lastly, how do you think our top recruits, Kaufman and First, will mesh with our already young talent?
You know what? They're both really good kids. Like that's top of the list right there. Like winning is important to them, and they both care about winning. And if you look at their high school careers, like that's what they've done. So with guys like that, like it'll be a seamless transition because they're going to do everything you ask. They both love the game. They love to work, and they'll fit right in with these guys. And now, just the more guys that you have that are in that kind of boat, that are pushing each other to be great, the better your team's going to be. The more competitive your practices are going to be, and in the long run, the better your team's going to be. So, like, we're fortunate. We're fortunate to have those two guys signed and going to join us next year. But we'll get there eventually. But we want to finish this one strong and go through the rest of the Big Ten and then prepare for next year when next year comes. But we're excited about those guys. Like, don't get me wrong. Like they're Boilermakers. They're true Boilermakers. They love to work. They're great students. They're great people, and they're going to fit in seamlessly with this group.
Well, the present is definitely bright, and the future may be even brighter. But thank you for your time, Coach. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.